Hello again, it's Garsen, and today we're going to look at the Dead Shot and the Knife of the Undermountain King. And we're going to look at Spell Sniper, and we're going to look at Fighter Champion, and we're going to look at what happens when you put a Darkness Cloud down, and you start a little trouble, and you go for fishing for crits. Crit, crit, crit. Crit, crit, crit. And crit, crit, crit. And crit, crit, crit. And let's go for another crit. Crit, crit, crit. Crit, crit, crit. Everybody, yeah, crits, crits, crits. Ba-da-doo. Crit, crit, crit. And, oh well, it hit anyway. Oh, there we go. So, did you count that many? I definitely didn't. So, I think that kind of gets the point. We're talking about crits! Yay! Crits. Who else wants to die? Want to die? Oh, critical hit. Gale's not even using a crit bow. Oh my goodness. Oh, critical hits. You're so silly. Whoa, bam! Look at that guy. Oh, critical miss. That's not acceptable. That's because we didn't have advantage on that guy. Alright, there we go. There we go. Okay. What about our monk? Lazel, what do you got for us? Let's whip out one of them hold persons. I want to hold that person down. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yes. Cast that. How about we hold you? And perfect. Alright, and what happens if we don't have crit gear, but we're a monk, so we use our action to hold somebody down and then annihilate them. Alright, cool. And then we can always just annihilate them with the other fist, as if we needed to. Oh, that was a nice natty crit. Yep, just another nice natty crit. And then does this crit? Does this crit? Does Sacred Flame crit? No, it never crits. Sacred Flame doesn't crit, Tommy. Okay. Alright. Okay. I think it's time we finish them off. Yep. I think we've talked about this in a previous video, but darkness is broke. Alright. Pew, pew, pew. Oh, I got countered. Oh, darn it. Alright, joke's on you. Quick and spell. Pew, pew, pew. And nice crit. Okay. That's some bull crit right there. There we go. Alright, critical hit. Alright, I called that one. Maybe another? Oh, well, she's dead anyway. Alright, come over here. Come over here. I don't want to go over there. I wouldn't either. Alright, Asterion. Make it brutal. Beautiful. Alright, talk about critical hits today. So, we'll just let this sit here. Actually gonna roll it back just a little bit because I think this is what everyone usually asks for. So we'll roll it all the way back in time, but before we get there, we're building for crits. So we're gonna try something new with the layout here. Don't worry, the whiteboard is always coming back. But we're gonna try a little bit with this, PowerPoint builder. Today's sponsor is you, obviously. No, you. Obviously, thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching. We'll talk more about it later. Obviously, you want to get right into it. So, what the crit? So, how do we deal with crits? All right. Basically, we're going to talk about building for crits. Building crits is actually very powerful and it's very easy. You just need to know a few topics. And there's going to be a lot to cover, but let's try and just keep it simple by covering what is even like crits, how they work, what to build for primarily, or you can actually sidestep the whole thing with hold person and paralyze, but we'll get there, right? And then actually there's some stages of the game, which, like I said, we're going to load up level 4. Like a scenario in level 4, see if we can really accomplish much of a crit, how we would do it, and then we'll go to level 8 in Act 2, and then we'll go to, like, obviously back to that example in Act 3, right? So, let's move along. What I want you to do is kind of recognize right off the bat what can and cannot crit. There's a lot of examples. I'm surely I got them wrong. You can already type in the comments. Garsen, that doesn't crit, or this does crit. Double check me. I have the best people, the best audience, because you guys always correct me if I make some stupid blunder, and then you guys don't really get all harsh with me, so thank you. But these can crit. these are attack rolls. A rule of thumb is if it has an attack roll, which you can see on some of these pictures right around here. So it says right there on the arrow up above, attack roll, right? Same thing with a ranged attack roll. And of course, if you're a monk, you actually get dice added to your flurry of blows, your unarmed attacks, right? So there's tons of things. Certain spells have spell attack rolls as opposed to spell save DC rolls, which is right here with the dex save, or you could see the dex save right here with burning hands, so on and so forth. Tons of examples, right? So the ones that can crit are anything where you have to throw out an accuracy roll, and we'll talk about it. The ones that cannot crit usually have some kind of spell save DC. It doesn't have to be a spell per se. Sometimes there's just class actions or moves or whatnot, right? So spells and effects that do not use the spell attack roll. And magic missiles are also an exception because they don't roll any accuracy. You cannot crit with them, so keep those in mind. There's plenty and plenty more examples. All right, so let's actually talk about a topic that comes up all the time in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a D&D game, thus the D&D, right? But Dungeons and Dragons is based on a dice roll. Primarily, almost everything deals with the D20, okay? Baldur's Gate 3 is no exception. So Baldur's Gate 3 is all about the 20-sided dice. This applies to everything. So this extends to a bunch of other topics. I'll probably reuse these slides some of these slides when I'm talking about them, but obviously this applies to like dialogue. I've showed you with sleight of hand and a few other things, right? If you can master some of these concepts, they'll apply to other things, and you can probably figure a lot of it out on your own just getting this, okay? So let's just focus on the basics, right? Keep it simple. I want you to come out of this video and be like, oh, I know how to do this. I can do this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, right? I'm not here to make the build for you. I just want to give you the building blocks. So let's make it simple so you can just run out there and start critting. So attack in this game means accuracy. It's your bonuses to your hit chance, right? Whoops. It's your bonuses to hit chance. So simply put, your proficiency, your stat bonuses like dexterity, and then you'll have gear like weapon enchantments and oils and elixirs and bless and all this stuff, right? Any kind of bonus to your accuracy, you'll roll the D20, okay? And then we'll add to that accuracy. So we'll get into that too. Advantage is when you roll 2 D20s, and you have the advantage. It means you get to roll 2 D20s and choose the highest roll. Conversely, if you had disadvantage, you would roll 2 D20s and then you would take the lowest roll instead of the highest, okay? So advantage is very important for our accuracy, but also for enabling and getting more potential to crits, and we'll get into that too. Damage dice, these are anything on your character. Let's actually switch back and I'll kind of show you in-game what I mean by damage dice, okay? So if you'll notice on your main attack here, there's a 1d6 roll, okay? Anything with Gale right here, he's built for, I think, Broodmothers or something like that. Okay, so where did my Broodmothers go? Oh, no. Oh, damn. All right. Well, sometimes you goof up. Okay, so if you were to add some kind of additional damage to the dice, right? This 1d10 or 1d6, or in Asterian's case, we're going to be using the Eldritch Blast, 1d10, but not this +4. This doesn't count, okay? So we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. I'll switch back. Sorry about that. All right. So like I was saying, damage dice, not the actual flat damage. These double on crits, so if it was a 1d6, it's now a 2d6. If it was a 2d8, it's now a 4d8. This is the power of criticals, right? So critical threshold, they're lowering the required number to crit. Just as a frame of reference, if you roll the 20, then you get the crit. Anything else, you don't get a crit. All right, is that the only way it works? Well, let's find out. There we go. Okay, so the attack roll, obviously a good place to start is accuracy. So just to keep things simple, the attack roll would be the D20 is whatever you roll. Let's say you roll a 10 versus a target's armor class. If they have 15 armor class, you're not hitting them, right? So 10 is lower than 15. If you rolled the 20, you're guaranteed to hit through their armor class, but let's say it was 19. So if you had 19 and the armor class was 15, good, you made it. If you have, I believe 15 would be the 15 armor class. So you always have to hit that target or higher, right? And this is, again, what the mechanics are all about in D&D 5 and also Baldur's Gate 3. So just keep it simple. You want to roll higher than the enemy armor class. The bonuses that you add onto your D20 roll is what's going to primarily be needed to get the land the hit. This is just generally a good idea for building for spell attack or dexterity weapons or melee weapons, right? The internal bonuses are going to come from your stats. So if you have like a ranged weapon like a bow, you're going to use your dex modifier. If we switch back into the game, look at it right now. Okay, so charisma would be, oopsie, charisma would be our bonus right here to our Eldritch Blast, because we took Agonizing Blast. But more simply put, if you had a weapon like the Herald over here, this is a dexterity weapon, so we want to build for dexterity. So what we'll do is we'll get a +4 bonus to our accuracy, and you can always find that right here. There is a dexterity bonus since we're proficient to the weapon, and then we actually get, oh wait, it's right here on range attacks, right? So we have dexterity first, and then all these other bonuses coming from gear, right? So let's go back into the notes here. So again, you want to go ahead with get your stat up related to whatever weapon or spell attack you're using, and then you'll also get your proficiency. If you're proficient with that weapon, you get more bonuses. That's the internal stats or character values, right? The external is where we can exponentially boost, or not exponentially boost it, but drastically boost it as well, right? These are things like weapon enchantment. There's a little dice roll addition from Bless or the Elixir of Heroism. You can add 2 more from a weapon oil, the oil of accuracy, right? Elixirs gain a benefit, like I said, the Heroism Elixir, or maybe the Battle Mage Elixir for spell attacks, and so on and so forth. There are so many ways externally from your character how to raise your spell attack, or your range attack, or your weapon attack, right? Okay, so Dice and Dragons advantage. We're talking about advantage now. So advantage is the next piece to the puzzle. So when you roll 2 dice and you choose the highest roll, if you had a dice of 1, that would have been a critical failure, would have been terrible. But even if something as low as a 5 or a 9, even a 10 sucks, right? If we don't have enough bonuses, rolling low sucks. So it's already amazing if we can just take the highest of 2 rolls. Say I rolled a 2 and say I rolled a 19. I still didn't get the crit, but I had 2 chances to get the crit. I still take the higher accuracy. That's awesome. So accuracy is almost everything in this game, right? You raise your accuracy immensely because out of the 2 dice, instead of 1 rolling for 2, like a 5, and you missed, you could have rolled a 5 and a 20, got the hit and crit, right? So this raises accuracy immensely, okay? It also dramatically increases the crit chance, because think about it. Now you have 2 dice to roll a potential 20, and we will see this get even more ridiculous if we lower the crit threshold. But for now, just hold on to the idea that there's 2 dice rolling, there's 2 opportunities to get a 20 out of 1 through 20 rolls, right? Okay, so many ways to obtain it. There's a ring of risky ring, rather. There's a risky ring in Act 2. If we abuse darkness and we can see through it, technically the enemy can't see us. This is another way. Sneak attack also works, right? And I mean hiding and then coming out of hiding. If the opponent can't see you, you usually have advantage on them, right? And there's just more and more and more ways to obtain advantage on players, right? Or targets. So let's look at the actual critical hit mechanic and break it down for you. If you land a 20 on your attack roll, the accuracy roll, you guarantee the attack lands. I don't care if they have 40 billion armor class. You automatically get the hit, okay? So right there, having 2 dice rolls from advantage is where the power comes from. Even if they have a bajillion armor class, you would hit them, and you're going to double any damage from dice. So if it's a d4, if it's 2d8, so on and so forth, these would then double up. So a 1d4 becomes a 2d8, right? If a 2d8, it would have become a 4, hold on. A 1d4 would become a 2d4, my bad. A 2d8 would become a 4d8, and so on and so forth. Let's just clarify that. They don't become 1d4 like this, okay? That would be amazing. Okay, so flat damage does not double, by the way. So if you have a bonus from, say, Rhapsody or Titan Strength Weapon, Arcane Synergy adds your modifier. Your Dexterity bonus, for instance, right? Your Dexterity bonus, if we go in here, like I said, your flat damage, let's switch back over. So Gale, when he attacks, he's going to get a flat damage bonus from his Dexterity on his bow, or his crossbow, of +4. This is not doubling. However, the very high 1d10 damage potential of his crossbow will go to 2d10. So it's 2d10, but he'll still have his +5 from his weapon enchantment and dexterity. So if you're trying to like build Titan String Bow, this is not necessarily the build for you, okay? Here we go. Go back. And back on track. Okay, so this threshold can be lowered though. So remember, it's a 20 is what you need to land, but this threshold can be 19, 18, 17. How was I hitting so many crits? Because I lowered my threshold ridiculous, and then I roll a double d20 and I take the highest value. So if I could get this theoretically down to like 15, 14, 13, when I roll 2 dice, I have a very good chance to roll. Now, I want to say one more thing about landing the d20. Your bonuses from earlier on the attack roll don't count towards the crit. It must be a 20 or higher on the dice roll unless you have gear that lowers the threshold on that dice roll. Very, very important. I don't want to make that a little ambiguous, okay? So there's going to be certain equipment, feats, classes, and so on and so forth that assist with all of these aspects, so we'll get kind of into those now. Ready? Okay, so common gear. In Act 1, and I know there's more of them, yes, I know there's more down here, okay, but common gear or equipment what we can look for is, and I'll try and explain why you relate to them. The Broodmother's Revenge adds 1d6 poison damage, and it even makes your attacks magical. This is a great amulet in the first place. It's very easy to pick up in Kagas. I've already done a video on it. Go check that out, right? But the reason you want to grab this on a crit build is you're adding what's called rainbow damage. See how the green dice, the poison damage dice, it's a 1d6. We're adding more dice. If you have so many dice on a weapon attack, you'll see like 1d6 poison, 1d4 fire, 1d4 psychic, and so on and so forth. It starts becoming a rainbow of dice, so we call that rainbow damage, okay? This is typically what you're looking for because you want to enhance and add dice when you're trying to, you know, build for crits, okay? So Knife of the Undermountain over here. This is super easy to get. It's in the creche. Maybe you just blow past the goblins and the grove, or maybe you handle it really quickly. There's a great video called Shart Saves the Grove. Shows you how quickly you can solve that at level 3 solo, and you can just bypass the grove really quickly, be a hero. The next day you go to the creche, you can buy this thing or steal it, okay? Oh, there's another video I made where you can steal stuff. All right, I don't want to keep doing that. It sounds a little obnoxious and up my own butt, so I get it. But yeah, I have some videos covering how to get a lot of the early game stuff, but the Knife of the Undermountain is one of the quickest things you can get, and what this does is lower the threshold from 20 to 19, okay? If we move on to Act 2, you're going to get a very common piece for the build, Risky Ring. If you don't have any other way to make advantage, this is an absolute gem to grab. I grab this on my Warlock, I grab this on my Archers, I grab this a lot. This is almost every run. So the Risky Ring is in the Moonrise Towers. Go find it, right? It's going to give you automatically advantage. Now, if you have disadvantage, it cancels that, so you'll never be at disadvantage. Cool, but you need advantage to give the double dice to get the extra crits, right? So obviously this thing's very powerful there, okay? The Vicious Elixir, you can make these, but more than likely at level 6, your characters, not their class, once you're level 6 total, you'll start seeing these around merchants, or you might find them in the world, okay? They start appearing around level 6. They're very easy to buy or steal, okay? And then finally, the Dark Justiciar helmet. There is another helmet earlier in the Act 2, but like, okay, there's 2 helmets that do this. There's another one, it's like Covert Critical or something like that. But the point is, there's 2 helmets. Dark Justiciar is really easy to get. It's in the Sharon Temple. You don't have to do anything awful to get it. It's just hiding away in a room. Go find it. But the way this one works and the other helmet, they do the same thing. They once again lower the threshold to get the critical hit from 20 down to 19, but you must be lightly obscured or in the dark, right? So, combos pretty well with like Risky Ring or Devil's Sight or something like that. All right? So let's move on real quick. In Act 3, you're going to find things like the Deadshot, which is one of the biggest things, just like the Knife of the Undermountain King. The thing is, these don't have to be used to lower the threshold. So they can just become stat sticks equipment that you hold on to, okay? So early game, you can get this thing. Later game, in Act 3, you can pick this up. They combo with each other. All of these effects combo with each other. So we're lowering the threshold. 19, 18. 17, 16, see? And so this is why you want to get this common gear that's very available. This is found in the lower city. You just buy it or steal it from a merchant right there in the lower city of Act 3, almost as soon as you come into the act, okay? So you don't even have to use the bow. It's a very good bow, especially if you're going for an archer who's critting, okay? Saravox helmet. This is a little tougher to get, but it's very common because it's a powerful piece anyway, and it continues that trend of this is pretty much a natural upgrade because now you don't need to be in the darkness, plus it has some other benefits to it, but it's not the easiest helmet to get, and it comes a lot later. But if you're going for that final level 12 build, you're going to end up finding this thing and using it. So yes, I know there's a lot more. I'm just trying to give you something, definitely the pieces I use all the dang time, and there's plenty more from there. Okay, let's look at some common features to actually build the character internally, right, and bump up their chances or benefits from critting, right? The fighter subclass is a big one, a very easy one, a very simple one, right? If you're not going to use the other subclasses, right, fighter, remember, at level 2 gives you action surge, right? And then this just passively, no matter what you're trying to crit, is going to lower it by 20 down to 19, and it stacks. So if we had all that other gear, we would be down to like 16 or 15 critical range. So 15 and up would crit. Once again, Spell Sniper. This is a feat. Pick it up on any class. Once you acquire your feat, Spell Sniper only applies the same thing, lowering the critical threshold, but only to spell attack rolls, okay? Spell attack rolls are the only things that can crit for spells. This is the only thing that applies to, this only applies to those spells, okay? But it does stack with improved critical from fighter, champion, and then all the other gear we talked about. Let's say you wanted to go barbarian or a half-orc barbarian, right? They get something called brutal critical and savage attacks, right? This is going to add an additional dice when you do crit. So just something to consider, right? Barbarians have something like reckless attack, so they can almost always crit for taking on the negatives. They get the risky positives of getting advantage on attacks, and they can land their hits more accurately and potentially crit all the time. This is what makes barbarian a really cool and powerful class. Assassinate, if you spec into rogues, this is a very powerful ability for assassin rogues when you spec into the subclass at level 3. So you will get ambush, you just automatically crit on that first turn of anybody who hasn't used. So if you surprise them, you get a crit guaranteed against them, and it's also a free turn. We've gone over surprising and how that works too, if you need a little guide on that. But Mortal Reminder, this is what I built on my Warlock. This is why you saw everyone get critical, like take the critical hits and then get frightened. So if you end up critting, this is a level 1 subclass. You already have to dip into Warlock, level 2 to get Agonizing Blast and some other invocations, or you're just trying to build Eldritch Blast in general. So pick this as your subclass, great old one, and you will get Mortal Reminder. Or if you just want another benefit to your crits, just grab 1 level of Warlock and take this subclass, okay? So this will frighten anybody, and in a small area, potentially frighten them, other enemies as well, when you land a crit. Obviously, I could not like put this, of course I'm going to put up Paladin Smites on the screen. Critting is huge for Paladins, right? Because they add all those radiant damage on their smites, and it's on reaction, so you can really plan out, oh, I don't want to use my spell slots for my spite. Oh, I just crit? Yeah, on reaction, boom, and now all the dice rolls explode for double damage, right? Same thing with rogues. You can set this to reaction. I only want my sneak attack on critical hits, so that way my sneak attack, that 6d6 damage is popping off and now becomes a 12d6. Super powerful, okay? So, Great Weapon Fighting Master, think about these. We'll go over them in a second, but these are extra features. Great Weapon Master is a feat where if you land a crit or a kill with your Great Weapon, you get another bonus action as an attack, right? You can also get Great Weapon Fighting as a fighting style. It means if you rolled a 1 or I think a 2, you actually get to re-roll the attack, so it's more beneficial to try and go for those big dice, even though it seems a little more risky, okay? Assassinate Ambush, we talked about that. Luck of the Farm Realms, if you're willing to put worms in your head, you can guarantee 1 critical per long rest period. And of course, there are so many more ways to get crit, but these are the things that are very common when it comes to building, and there's just more out there. We're just kind of glossing over a lot of stuff here, okay? So, what I do want to highlight is what I just mentioned with the Great Weapon Fighter, fighting style from like fighter or paladin or whatnot, right? And just the general rule of thumb, if you're thinking about critting with weapons, bloodied great axe, right? It's not a phenomenal weapon or anything, but it's on the screen because great axes have a 1d12 slashing, right? So when you crit, and if you have this conditional at like 50% health, right? Both of these would double, so it would be a 2d12 and a 2d4, right? And if you, that attack roll, which is so important, you have to get the 20 or the 19 or the 17, right? If you rolled a 1 or a 2, because of this fighting style passive, you'll get to re-roll that accuracy dice, combo that with advantage, yes, they stack, and it makes it even more like possible to land critical hits with your big dice, and your big dice hit a lot harder. Okay, so going for the risk of big dice, I want you to think about, does the dice being rolled and then doubled, right? Great axes have a large range of possible damage, even if both of those d12s would turn into like 2 damage or something like that. Okay, so when you roll 1 or 2 on the damage roll, oh, my bad, I'm back. This is why I always got to catch myself. This is why I put things on the screen, so you know I'm not BSing you. But yeah, when you roll the damage roll, right, if you rolled that low 1 or 2, which is what you're risking here with the large possible range of damage, the 1d12, this means you won't run into 1 and 2s all the time with your critical hit rolls, okay? So on the damage side of things, you'll use, for accuracy, you'll use advantage, right? And then when you actually land a critical hit, you don't have to fear getting those 1s and 2s all the time because of the great weapon fighting style. So this is a natural combo for all this, especially if you're looking to abuse this high damage. Does that mean tiny baby crits on smaller weapons? Something to consider. A 1d4, crit that's only 2d4. At maximum, that's 8 damage. Was it really worth going for the crits? So small weapons are going to have small rolls, even when they're doubled. So make sure you're considering maybe how to compensate that with maybe sneak attack or smites, right? Or make sure you're making more attacks to compensate and landing the critical hits anyway. It's not that they're weaker, it's just that you need to plan them out differently. Like Eldritch Blast is more about how many beams I can shoot out. Using daggers and small hits on a rogue is more about, I want to land a crit so that on reaction I can get, instead of a 6d6, I can get a 12d6, okay, on my sneak attack. So just think of those things is what I'm talking about. All right, so moving on. Is that the only way to crit? Do we have to build for crit? There is Paralyze, okay? You don't always have to build for crits to benefit from them, right? There are hold spells, like right over here. We'll look at them in a second, right? There's Carabasson's oil and grenades. There's one where you can coat right down here. You can coat your weapon, especially good for bows, right? But there's also a grenade, so you can hit a whole area and paralyze people potentially, right? There's Crawler Mucus, which is, to be honest, kind of the same thing as Carabasson's. It's the same effect, but there is something like literally called Crawler Mucus. As an oil, it does the same thing. Ghouls can paralyze, and you can use ghouls if you're like a necromancer, for instance, right? Maybe a good combo for a guy who's a necromancer, has a bunch of ghouls, right? They more chances to paralyze your targets, and then you, once they're paralyzed from a ghoul attack, you can come in with a bone chill or an eldritch blast, and bam, now you're getting crits for free. Okay, you just keep in mind, prone works too, right? With all of these, you have to make sure you look at here at any attack roll made against this creature by an attacker within 3 meters, which is 10 feet. It's basically kissing range, okay? That's an automatic critical hit. So the caveat here with paralyze and hold spells and prone and all this stuff is you need to go up close to them. Even with Eldritch Blast, even with ranged weapons, you need to walk up and then hit them, and you'll get the free critical hit. But, I mean, they're just sitting there. They won't do opportunity attacks. It's a guaranteed hit anyway. So, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so Hold Person is a super powerful spell. It can be upcasted to hold more people. We saw that with Lae'zel. If she could upcast it rather than a scroll, she could hold maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. Just depends on the spell slot. Hold Monster is a more powerful variant that allows you to hold, you know, non-humanoids, just creatures, devils, demons, fiends, so on and so forth. It's very useful because you can't hold everything with this, but you can just about hold everything with this and get the same benefit. That's why it's a level 5 spell. Okay, then there's also the unique Clench of the North Wind. This is on Elemental Monks. It's effectively Hold Person. I think it gets upgraded the more you invest into the Elemental Monk. So yes, there are ways to, you know, deal with crit damage even if you're not building with it. So keep it in mind because it's a lot of free power laying on the table if you don't use it. So now we'll come back into the Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 examples. I feel that sometimes when people explain things or show off their super cool builds, nothing wrong with that, but I think this is what a lot of people ask for. And so I want to try and show some examples. Just before we go into the examples, I just want you to know Act 1 is not the easiest thing to build for crits. That's why you may want to rely on trying to knock someone down with prone or maybe hold person. So just try to utilize those other features on how to make criticals happen, right? Act 2, especially once you're like before the sharp point of no return, level 8. This is another checkpoint where you're getting level 8, 2 feats now. You can afford Spell Sniper and an ASI. You found a lot of good gear in the Kresh and the Shadowlands and so on and so forth. So you could definitely be critting even without Hold Person and Paralyze and all that stuff. And Act 3, obviously we saw how monstrous you can get. You're in full bloom, full blossom. You can crit like a monster, okay? So without further ado, I appreciate you. We'll go into this. We'll see how bad I can do in Act 1 and we'll try and build it for a little bit more, okay? So Gale. Unfortunately, we like goofed up. I don't have like the amulet here, but it's no biggie. Okay, so what I'm trying to demonstrate here is if we just keep reloading this, right? So bear with me. What we're gonna do is, like I said, if I Sacred Flame, this can't crit, right? But spells like Eldritch Blast can crit. Okay, and players like Gale can use his weapons to crit, and if we can get a Hold Person off, that would probably be our likeliest best way to get a crit, especially if we have decent spell save DC. This early in the game, level 4 allows us to get a feat, so we can raise our base wisdom, and since we are a cleric, we get a lot of good control spells like Hold Person, just naturally. If you were a warlock, you actually get some really good benefits here. So if you were wondering, how can I enable crits in the early game, Garsen? Well, if you were just a warlock, right? Pure warlock, we're not doing anything fancy. You're trying to do your Eldritch Blast. One more level and you're gonna have 2 Eldritch Blasts, right? But you're just barely getting like +4 in your Agonizing Blast. You've added a little more. Your Charisma is like, that's your stat as a warlock, right? Well, just remember, at level 2, you can pick up Devil's Sight, okay? Level 2 warlocks, take Invocation, take your Agonizing Blast, take Devil's Sight. Hey, now you can see in darkness, and at level 3, well, what do you know? The most busted combo I've ever seen, even in early game, okay? So in level 2, let's just back this up for a second, see if we can do some damage. I'm not guaranteeing any kind of crits here. We have like no crit gear, nothing to lower it, but maybe we can get a crit from increasing our dice roll. That's why I'm going to have the little battle screen down here, so bear with me. So again, level 3, you can get Darkness. As a warlock, you have 2 level 2 spells at level 4. You have 2 of these spell slots to cast Darkness over every short rest, right? So short rest, you would have 1, 2, 3 short rest periods. That's 6 Darkness, and they last 10 frickin' turns, okay? So, I don't think I'm going to be able to crit, but boom, I missed. Aw, man. Okay, but they can't see me, so go. Boom. Alright. I have advantage this time. I don't know why I didn't have advantage before, but... Oh, okay. Did he die? Oh yeah, look at that. Is this a video about darkness being broken? Yeah, we'll get there. Okay. Let's pause this for a second. Oh, hey there. Okay. So, once again, darkness is busted because you can just keep blasting. If they don't see you, they don't detect that they're in combat with something. They have no idea what's going on. Broken, right? But see how I'm in the darkness. I can see them. They can't see me. So I get advantage. There's a 91% chance to hit. Considering I only get 1 beam, it's already great that I'm going to hit. Let's see if I can get a crit. Okay, so I couldn't get a crit. Why is that? Let's go down here. Look at the damage. I rolled a 12 on advantage, so my highest out of the 2 rolls was a 12. Man, we're just not getting crits. However, this is still significantly going to raise your damage because, and your safety for that matter, because it, you know, level 4, there's very few fights you can just safely go into and have advantage, especially with Eldritch Blast and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's just reload that. Just wanted to give you more of like a warlock example, right? Now what I'm going to do is force a crit early in the game with Hold Person. So if I can land a Hold Person, we'll see if I can get that. But naturally, that means I can just walk up to him and enable a crit early in the game. And that's why people commonly say, oh, dude, spellcasters are busted in D&D and Baldur's Gate 3, right? Because if you know what you're doing, let's see. Hold Person, okay. Let's get some initiative going. So Man, I couldn't get my Eldritch Blast to crit from darkness and advantage. This sucks. Well, later on you will, but for now, walk up to him. You're in kissing range, right? If you have hold person, the paralyze, right? Boom, critical hit. They're dead. Okay? So works with crossbows, works with obviously melee weapons. So this is probably what you're looking for if you're trying to crit early. Kind of, if you're even bothering to focus on it. It does work with the monk attacks, right? All these fists, especially flurry of blows, but we saw that earlier. So I'm just going to assume, rewind the tape, saw that example, and we'll move on to Act 2, okay? So let's roll up, and let's go to level 8 crits. And we'll now move into Moonrise. This is significantly into Act 2. You're level 8, you've been doing a lot, you've done the crash, you've got all the gear you need. Now you're feeling very confident about your crit build. Let's see if we can put it to work, see if it works a lot better than sitting in that cloud earlier in Act 1 like, man, I got advantage, I'm accurate, I can keep blasting, but I'm not getting the big critical hit number that I want. Okay, cool, fine. Let's see what we can do in Act 2, okay? So now we're loaded back in. Alright, so we have these dummies here. Like I said, they have 18 armor class, so I should have said this in Act 1, but again, your accuracy is what matters first. You have to overcome this. With 2 dice, it's a lot easier, and then all the bonuses, and then we're going to lower the critical threshold so that we can guarantee the crit, right? Okay. You always want to hit first, or at least doing some damage is what I'm saying, and then you're raising the potential to actually get a critical hit and bypass everything. So let's look at this one more time. Okay, so Asterion here has upgraded to quite a complicated build. I don't want to go over this too heavily, but like I said, in Act 1, 2 in the middle, right, you can get this. This is Knife of the Undermountain King, comes from the Kresh. You can get this, the Dark Justiciar helmet, when you're obscured in darkness or light obscurity. You can actually get a lowered critical. Level 6 is around the time we start seeing those elixirs. So right down here, the Elixir of Viciousness. Okay? And then we do have Spell Sniper. So let's count that out real quick. With Spell Sniper, with the Viciousness, okay, that's 2. And then with this, that's 3. And then if we're in darkness, that's 4. Okay, so 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be a 16. Oh, but wait. We're a champion fighter. Okay, so this was very thought out on the way to building towards it. I didn't respec 100 times. I just built my character with this in mind, and I compensated earlier until I had the gear I need. Improve critical from champion. So that's a 15 or higher will guarantee a hit and guarantee a crit. Okay, now if we add advantage to that, how are we going to do it this time? Well, I don't have Devil Sight on him and whatnot. It was goofy when I was doing this. So what I did do is give our little dedicated cleric caster here some darkness. And the nice thing about level 5 on Eldritch Blast is, doesn't matter how much warlock you are, you now do 2 beams on your Eldritch Blast here. See? 2 beams. So I will get 2 chances to hit and crit. Alright, so what is this? Oh, we don't have Devil Sight. Durr, dummy. Okay, so I do have the Risky Ring. Oh, wait, what am I talking about? Okay, that was for Gale. Okay, if I have Devil Sight, I could do that. I was trying to show the Risky Ring example as well, so my bad. Risky Ring, like I said, without any other condition, if you don't have a way to offer advantage, as long as you have a normal attack roll, with this ring, you will have advantage on attack rolls, with the caveat that you have disadvantage on saving throws. So just know what you're getting into with that one. Okay, so now, like I said, we have a 98% chance to hit because of the advantage, and like I said, 15 or higher gets the crit. What are we going to get? Okay. No. Uh-oh. What about you, Gale? We didn't get the crit. You failure, you failure. Okay, so Gale has the Eversight ring. Its wearer cannot be blinded. Okay, so he has Devil Sight effectively in the cloud. So I wanted to demonstrate that. He doesn't have any of the other stuff other than we kept him simple. He's a champion, so he does have the increased critical, and then he does have viciousness, so that's 2. So 2 and advantage. I don't think he's going to crit much, but let's find out. Okay, getting that damage in. Boom, critical hit. Would have died. Now, what did I mean by rainbow damage earlier? So I probably should have turned that on, but I would have gotten the 2d6 here. I have 2d4 from this. Titan string bow does not get the bonus, so whatever modifier did not go up, we'll keep that in mind. But the 1d8 from being a longbow, pretty strong damage for a ranged weapon, okay? So if we come over here, I got the critical on a 19, so I've lowered my threshold by using advantage. Instead of a 20, I rolled a 19, so 18 or higher on this setup, okay? And then we have all the other bonuses to accuracy, plus the sharpshooter minus, right? Dexterity, so on and so forth. Well, we got the critical, so none of that matters. All right, so the damage then goes up 2d8 on my bow. You'll see the weapon enchantment, that doesn't do anything. Dexterity, that doesn't double up. Sharpshooter, that doesn't double up. Plus 3, doesn't. The arcane synergy, the strength modifier. So these don't double up, just the dice roll. So, Gale, hey man, great critical, but everything you're doing is already pretty strong. You don't really need to try and land them, right? So let's try and get Asterion. Here come the ghouls. Please don't paralyze me and get me critical. No. So let's go ahead, give him one more chance. All right. Oh no. Yeah, get wrecked. Oh, he's prone, huh? Interesting. So, Asterion started the combat. Kind of sucks for us, but let's back it up for a second. See if we can get more crits, and this time, let's heal ourselves. Alright. I need to have more faith in Gale. Okay. We're gonna get some crits. Come on, get crits. Alright. Oh, this guy's like dead anyways. Oh, no crit. Got our blessed Asterion, so he's pretty good. Ah! Okay. Keep us fresh. Perfect. Alright. Alright, let's see if we can get somebody over here. You know what? I want some more actions. There we go. Okie dokie. Oh, we got the Daredevil. That's even better. Okay. So, back up just a bit. Yeah, okay. This is funny. She's got 1 HP. What about this ghoul over here? 1, 2. Okay. The heck is going on? The heck was that? Okay, hold on. We need to reload. Embarrassing. Okay. So we'll back it up. This cloud's kind of screwing with the Asterion right now. Okay, there we go. Thank you. And so let's actually save it right here for a second. Auto save. Alright, so like I said, maybe we can go ahead, give me some haste. Have we got haste on you? I just use the potion. Okay, so we'll go 1, 2. Critical hit, critical hit. Well, what do you know? Asterion, you heard me? And he's like, nah, man. I know you built me right. Yeah, I know I did too. Cool. So 17 on the critical. Because of the advantage, all this doesn't matter anymore. We get the guaranteed shot. And the 2d10, the 1d10 is now 2d10, resulting in a nice increased 14, blowing past the original 10 potential, right? With obviously the charisma bonus from Agonizing Blast and the Potent Robes, those don't go up, right? But right after that, we got another 17 critical. So on the advantage, blow past that. Now we did 18 from the 2d10, right? So, like I said, let's see if, come on, don't make me happy, boy. Oh. Can we get Quicken? Oh, we don't have Quicken yet, dang. Okay. What about you, Gale? You want to give it another shot? Or do you want to use that Carabazin's poison? Ooh. Good. Ooh, crawler mucus and a crit. Well, this guy's a... Oh, man, it's going to be nasty. Tell you what. Come up here. Remember how I said, don't worry. Even if your monk ain't built for it. Boom, boom. Good example. Okay, so... Our monk does have dice damage on their punches, right? Flurry of blows ends up doing 2 punches. So we got a 2d6, became a 9 damage. right? And a 2d6 became 5 damage. Not the craziest stuff, but the fact that Flurry of Blows lets us hit twice, and something like Paralyze gives us the instant crit. Good job, man. That was great. But I know what you're thinking, so, okay, we looked at Asterian's build. It's a little more complicated. Go look at the Eldritch Blast video. I kind of cover this a little bit, but once again, you can have a 15 or higher range on your crit, and something like Risky Ring can be used to enhance that even further, okay? If we were to reload this, I'm just gonna get out of combat right here so we can swap around. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, so like I said, Asterian right now has all the crit gear, but I will say Gale is a very simplistic way of going about doing crits, right? He's a champion fighter. Don't let anyone tell you champion fighter can't be good or isn't fun to play. I think it's personally it's awesome. But you have all the equipment available because you are a fighter. You can wear these, raise your damage with the dice rolls, and then we could do the darkness, so it's a little irrelevant. We don't need the Risky Ring per se, but I'll put it on just to keep things more simpler, or maybe like solo run, or, you know, I don't have any other methods. What we'll do is, like I said, Titan String Bow is just getting a bonus to damage because we're using the Hill Giant strength here. This is great because we have 19 strength out of nowhere. We can still wear a shield, okay? But since I want to crit, I don't give a crap about that. Okay, so we'll get the Knife of the Undermountain. We'll have the advantage on hits, and we'll be in the darkness. And yeah, actually, you know what? We kind of need the darkness. My bad. Bear with me. Okay, let me use that because we want to be obscured with this, which is, oh, you know what? That might have been, of course, Garsen Classic. Missed out on that. Okay, I don't think we were in the darkness with Asterian, so the helmet was being poo-poo. Alright, so once again, we have Viciousness. You want to take your elixir. Think of your elixir as a slot for armor. Let's kind of dump some of this gold somewhere. What's our heaviest stuff so I can get rid of this? Alchemy Patch. Perfect. Lazel, you're the pack mule anyway. Perfect. Okay, so keep in mind you do have disadvantage when you're encumbered. So we swapped over to a more simplistic build. Champion's going to naturally get the enhanced critical hits. The Knife of the Undermountain stacks with that. When we're in darkness, this stacks with that. And of course, we're going to use dice, more dice from items like these, where we get the poison damage dice and the fire damage dice. And then of course, we'll use blind immunity in the darkness to enable our advantage, but also end up getting an critical threshold. So, Shadowheart, if you would. Alright, and then we'll pause it, and we'll up our accuracy. Is it bad? Yeah, it's a little bad, so just keep in mind you can always use oils of accuracy. There we go. Okay, oh, nice miss. Hey, wait. We're not done with you. What about you? Hit him. You have a 98% chance to hit. What are you doing? What are you doing? Gale! Oh, well, darkness is broken. Can't find me. Alright, back to this. And go for it. There we go. Come on, land a crit. Land a crit, buddy. Oh, uh-oh. We're in combat. And go for it. There we go. Nice crit. Alright, can you do it again? Oh, okay. Whatever. Wait. I'll give you one more chance. Oh, we rearranged all this crap. Well, son of a... Who's got him? Who's got the speed potions? Give me that. Right. Oh, he had it the whole time. Hey-ya! Alright. Come on. Right there. I want to see. Okay. Well, screw you. Damn it, Gale. Alright. So, obviously, in the mid-game, while you can build for crits, right? Look what the average was for landing crits with just, like, maybe I think it's a 16 range right there. So, we did end up getting a crit back up here. Where was it? Right here. But, so you can see it yourself, the critical range is 16, and we are rolling 2 dice. So, it's not always going to crit, but that is a nice threshold for having 2 dice to get in there and do that extra 2d8 damage. And then obviously we would have the additional dice damage was increased right here with the fire damage. And once again, Garsen Classic, we keep forgetting to add the poison heal. But that'll pretty much do it for Act 2. Last and not least, definitely not least, let's come back to level 12. Thanks for sticking it out with me, but I just want to kind of show you what I always feel like is missing in some of these videos, even my own, is kind of seeing the by and by, like, does this really work from like Act 1 to 2 to 3, right? And so these methods comboed with each other, like the paralyze and hold person, then later on you can really start, by the end of Act 2, start critting with the 15 or 16 potential, and then the madness that is Act 3, and you have all your gear. Okay, so let's come back to this. Asterion, let's see what you got. We do have the Devil Sight this time, because I didn't goof up that time. Alright, Devil Sight, so that means he can cast his own darkness, which means he doesn't really need the risky ring, but it's on there, whatever. Alright, so let's pause this for a second. I'm going to save it here so we can quickly reload for your purpose, or your sake. And then 1, 2, 3. Hey, we got a critical hit. Well, what do you know? So now, critical hit, we hit a 20. We had 3 chances to crit because Eldritch Blast is now blasting a lot more, which obviously more hits, more chances. Just like sneak attack with small weapons, I brought that up earlier. I want to crit, I'll save my big reaction sneak attack. So multiple hits is something to consider, big hits is something to consider. And also, now we have Spell Might, which adds another force damage dice. So if you'll see this crit, right, the 2d10 doubled up, but also our Spell Might gloves adds a 1d8, and those doubled up as well, which is why Eldritch Blast becomes a really powerful crit build later on in the game. Okay, well, mid-game too, but... And then we can always just hasten and keep blasting. 1, 2, 3. Because now we're a sorcerer, we can use more Eldritch Blasts on our bonus actions, right? So again, it combos really well with the crit potential, because more blasts means more chances to crit. Alright, so we crit on an 18, and we crit on a 17. So it seems like it's happening a lot more, and we have a lot more damage coming out with the Spell Might gloves. Pretty cool, right? So, by this point in Act 3, what we've got going on here is we're prioritizing making sure we have good damage and accuracy with charisma, right, as you would on a charisma Eldritch Blaster, right? But now we have Knife of the Undermountain this whole time. We can get Deadshot into the mix, and I told you don't need to use the bow or the knife to benefit from these, okay? And we still have Spell Sniper from way back in Act 2, or even Act 1, right? So you can get Spell Sniper. If you value that early, you can get it early on. We have Spell Sniper, and we are a champion fighter, so we do have the improved critical hit. Where'd that go? Hey, what the hell? Damn it, Garsen. You're so blind. What the hell? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I am blind. Proof critical, next is improved critical, buddy. Okay, so 1 here, okay? 2 from Spell Sniper, 3 from the Viciousness, 4 from the Bow, 5 from the Knife of the Undermountain, and we're going to trade out the head slot because we really want the charisma more. But if you don't, or you go the mirror and get your charisma up by 2 more, you can swap out your head slot. So you can go all the way down to what, 14? Am I counting wrong? I think it's 15 at least, right? So we're seeing that happen a lot more because the critical hits just keep coming in, right? Gale here, he would need to swap over some of the gear from our Warlock, our Asterion, right? So what I'm going to do is swap the gear around because I don't want to necessarily be like, oh, look, all 4 of my characters can build crit at once, which is kind of one of the final lessons I want to but one of the kind of final points I want to make is I didn't do all these examples as if you can build all 4 of these guys for crit. If you're not doing something like hold person, not everyone can just build for crit, right? You're really going to have to focus on one guy like Asterion. It's pushing it by trying to get somebody else like Gale here. So that's really what's going on with that example, right? So let's go ahead, give Gale Knife of the Undermountain. We'll give him the bow. He's actually using the bow. Okay. Let's go ahead, give him Saravox. I think I have Saravox, right? Yeah, Saravox helmet, which you can get in Act 3. Let's give him... He's got the blindness ring, so you can see. He's got the brood mothers, and he actually upgraded his Helldust gloves. And now, since we want more dexterity, we can use something like graceful cloth. So that's just a 2 bonus. Just things to consider, think about. I'm gonna go ahead, quick save this again. All right. So, if we pause now, let's think about his crit. He's got 1 from the helmet, 2, 3 from the weapons, 4 from viciousness, and 5 from improved critical hit right down here from Fighter Champion. Okay. Cool thing about Fighter 12 is you get 4 feats. We actually have Great Weapon Master, right? I think we have it on here. Yeah, Great Weapon Master. Yeah. Why is this just not toggled on? Oh, okay. Let's just drag these down here. Cool. It's just not showing. So, cool thing about getting 4 feats on a fighter, especially a champion, is you can afford 2 different fighting styles from champion, and you get 3 attacks, and you can get all in and sharpshooter, so you can really add some big damage no matter what you're doing. If you're doing physical hits and whacking them. Hey. Oh wait, we don't have the sword yet. I don't want to use that. Let's go for bow attacks first. There we go. Can we get the crit? We get 3 attacks at level 12. Nice. Alright, so we got a crit pretty easily. 1 for 2, right? So 16 is the threshold now, and then all that gets blown past, and now our 2d8 goes up, and if we were to add more damage like fire damage, that also gets upgraded. This now 2d6, and if I would just freaking heal, man, I would get dipped in poison and get that damage doubled as well. Okay, so let's keep going. No one knows it was me, because darkness. I love darkness. Alright. Let's swap out his weapon. Oh yeah, actually, you know what? I'm going to reload real quick. Bear with me. One last thing I want to do is use like a 2-handed sword, because I keep using all these ranged attacks, and I know Lae'zel is kind of critting, but let's see if I can get a crit with a 2-handed sword real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. If I can, I can. If I can, whatever. You get the point. Get the point. Sadly, I didn't make a paladin for, you know, it's whatever. Alright, so let's go back to having that 2-handed sword. Falarluv is a unique 2-hander for the fact that you can 2-hand it. It is a long sword, and it does pop off finesse, so it means you can use your dexterity rolls. And keep in mind, long swords are pretty good for crits because it's a 1d8 rather than a 2d6 from the great swords. So, surprising factor right there. Darkness is over. Let's go ahead. Can we cast one more of those? Save this. Just put it right on the perimeter. And we'll pause that. Let's see if I can get the crit. Hey, buddy. Oh, what the heck, man? Every siren. Damn it. Alright, fine. I'll swap my ring out. Risky ring. Ah. And then, give me a speed potion, please. Okay, thank you. Alright. There we go, advantage. Alright, no crits. That's fine. Ah, there we go. We got a crit again. 1 out of 2. So, yeah. I just wanted to show that we've been using like range, so obviously you can use your melee weapon, and the thing is that longsword is a little notable because it's a 1d10, right? And we have Great Weapon Master and Great Weapon Fighting, so our damage roll is actually tends to be pretty good, and you get 2 of them, so you almost got that full out of, you know, 2d10. It could have been 20, right? So we got 17 out of that, right? Add in Great Weapon Master damage and some other stuff, and you're doing pretty good. And this guy's dead, so what about you? Crit? Oh, all right. Well, that's gonna do it. Let me see if I can get a quicken spell and crit this guy. Da, 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 da. Yay! 3 crits. That's the way to end it. All right. Oh, look at that damage. Dang. Freaking nice. 30. Okay. So, that's gonna do it. Appreciate you guys. I think I totally goofed this last page, right? Yeah, stock image. Thanks again to you guys. I appreciate you guys for watching. I know this was long, but hopefully it was pretty comprehensive and yet pretty simple. So just go out there, start critting, hitting. Larian, thank you. Obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 is an awesome game with cool mechanics like this. And thanks to the Baldur's Gate 3 wiki, I totally stole a bunch of stuff, but obviously I got a good amount of info from there when I was learning too. Go check it out. They deserve some highlights here as well. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll check you out in the next one. Hey, wait, what? No. No. Yeah. Check it out.